Doesn't it seem like classic turn-based Japanese-style RPGs have become a remnant of the past? It often seems like the gaming world has completely gone away from that style for a long time, and even the Final Fantasy series has become more action-oriented. Not so, however, when it comes to Octopath Traveler. With this game, Square Enix has finally delivered one of the most highly anticipated throwback RPGs ever. Octopath Traveler throws a wrench into the conventional by embracing the old school. The game begins by allowing you to select from one of 8 characters, each with their own individual stories and outlooks. After selecting your main character in the beginning, the story unfolds from his or her perspective. The storyline of the characters intertwine in some ways, and the 7 remaining characters can be recruited by traveling to their starting areas. This character selection system reminded me a bit of Seiken Densetsu 3 and the Saga games. Character individuality is a striking element of this game. Each character has its own distinct class, which affects the type of equipment they can use and skills that they have. Eventually, they can select subclasses that unlock an array of new skill combinations, passive abilities, and additional equipment options. There is some customization in this game, but nothing detracts from the overall uniqueness of each character. Also, each character has his or her own special command which allows them to interact with the NPCs in a variety of ways. For instance, Ulbrich is a warrior that can challenge NPCs to a fight, which can be used to remove them from a crowded area. The Scholar Cyrus can scrutinize, which allows him to gain insights into people, pick up clues, or gather secrets, which can even allow for some special item discounts at weapon shops. Primrose the Dancer can allure NPCs into following her, which allows her to summon them in battle. The path actions, as they are called, are based on chance and affect a character's reputation, and failed actions can be restored by asking bartenders to spread good rumors about you. The class system and individual social abilities differentiate the characters from each other effectively, such that no 2 characters are totally alike. The story seems highly open-ended and non-linear, unlike recent Final Fantasy games. The player is mostly free to wander the world and even go into areas with incredibly powerful monsters that they aren't ready to challenge. Again, this reminded me of Square's Saga series of games, where most of the exploration is left up to the player. The graphics in Octopath Traveler are also incredibly unique in comparison to most modern games. The developers have called the game's graphical style HD 2D. The towns and dungeons are side-scrolling, but have multiple elevation levels, and the visuals were shrewdly designed to combine 16-bit Super Nintendo-style character sprites with overlapping textures and high-definition effects. Even though this style of graphics will turn off some modern gamers, to a fan of old-school RPGs the game looks breathtaking, and the sprites are extremely detailed. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that the sprite details are the most complex and beautiful I have ever seen in a game. Magic and skill effects in battle are also magnificent, and add greatly to the drama of battles. The combat system in Octopath Traveler is also an encouraging blast from the past, bringing forth turn-based combat into a new age. Yes, I wasn't stuttering, the game features turn-based combat. That's crazy talk, right? In battle, both characters and enemies can use numerous weapon and elemental attacks, use abilities, or use items on each turn. Combat revolves around boost points, where 1 boost point is received at the end of every turn. Boost points can be stored up to a level of 5 total boost points. When a player accumulates at least 3 boost points, they can amplify the effects of a command, increasing its power dramatically. Unleashing a boosted command allows for the character to do things like attack many times, causing a huge amount of damage, or increasing the damage done by certain abilities. I think this is a stimulating system that keeps the player thinking on multiple levels and avoids repetitive gameplay. In some ways, it reminds me of the Death Blow system from Xenogears. The battle system heavily revolves around elemental weaknesses. Enemies have specific weaknesses and a corresponding shield counter, which lowers each time they are hit by their weakness. When the shield is fully depleted, they become stunned and receive much more damage, unable to do anything for a turn. The battles also feature a unique bar that shows the future order of attacks from both characters and enemies, which helps the player formulate and plan his attacks. This is also a great, unique feature that I haven't seen utilized in other games. The skill system also brings a lot of variety to Octopath Traveler and makes each play through the game a bit more unique. Each character can select and learn abilities for their main class. They can also choose a subclass, which diversifies the skill combinations of each character. When the subclass is selected, the character can gain access to weapons and armor of the secondary class in addition to the original one. New abilities are learned from spending JP gained in battle. To learn new skills, the job menu is used. Skills can be acquired in any order as long as you have the proper amount of JP to obtain the skills you want. This framework avoids cookie-cutter builds and provides a unique experience to each player. It's important to note that the relative power of battle skills seems to vary quite a bit in Octopath Traveler. Some abilities seem a bit lackluster, while others completely dominate the battles. For instance, HP Thief seems incredibly strong, allowing the thief to do insane damage to enemies while healing himself in the process. The game's music score is composed of medieval-like tracks that capture the dispositions of the characters and moods of the story. Each individual character has their own theme song, some of which are fantastic. I found Cyrus and Primrose's tracks to be especially memorable. The sound effects are plainly awesome too. It sounds like a minuscule thing in the grand scheme of things, but just the sounds of weapons clashing, spells casting, and even the menu clicks seem to be clean and natural. It really adds a lot to this game. The game also features a large amount of voice acting for the storyline scenes and battle shouts, and it doesn't seem overly cheesy or annoying like a lot of other games. From playing through the story, it seems obvious that the game was voice acted professionally rather than being whipped together quickly. And this is great because, trust me, there's nothing worse than terrible voice acting to annoy the player. After playing the game, I believe the one word that best describes it is throwback. The game is a blast from the RPG past in almost every way, and it allows the player to rediscover the nostalgia that defined the genre in the 1990s. By the term throwback, I am not exaggerating whatsoever. Everything about this game is extraordinarily reminiscent of a Super NES or PlayStation era RPG. From the sprites, to the music, to the story, to the battles, and the animations, everything just comes together in a way that one would expect from a game at that time. For those of us who have begrudgingly watched this type of game be abandoned through the years, even in many of Square's flagship series, it's incredibly invigorating to find Octopath Traveler resurrecting the style in a new era. I can only hope that the game wins over more fans and encourages the creation of more RPGs like it. The developers have suggested that completing the storylines for all 8 characters makes the game last over 100 hours. With this much depth at the player's disposal, the game is sure to provide some serious replay value, especially for those determined to complete everything. However, it's fully possible to complete the game without recruiting all the characters. I really like the fact that Octopath Traveler allows the player most of the control over the series of events. This isn't nearly as linear as most RPGs. My only true criticism of the game is that the characters don't interact very well with each other, and it seems more like a collection of mini-stories rather than a single, united, overarching narrative. When not completing a specific character's chapter, the other characters do not add very much, and there isn't very many exceptions to this. Overall though, Octopath Traveler is just a fantastic game, especially for fans of retro RPGs. And that'll do it for my review on Octopath Traveler. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos.